And you did know that Jeffrey Williams, Mr. Zachary told you, had performances in the state of Florida.
That's what he stated.
And that's why it was already pre-planned to go to Florida around the 10th of January, 11th of January, 2015, 12th of January, right?
He never said anything about a pre-plan.
He didn't say that it was already, people were already going?
No, he stated Mr. Williams had a show or something, and then they all decided to go. It wasn't a pre-plan.
Okay. That Jeffrey Williams stopped associating with some of these people a short time after the killing of Donovan Thomas.
She's definitely lying or misremembering.
What's your question?
That's my question. That's what he told you.
No, I don't recall that.
You remember Mr. Zachary stating that Thug had stopped messing with everybody. You remember that? Do you remember that shortly after the murder? If you don't remember, it's fine.
He didn't say it in that context. Shortly after the murder, Thug stopped messing with everybody. That wasn't the context in what he said that in.
What do you believe the context is?
I mean, if you have the transcripts to refresh my memory, I can read them to you. But that was not the context.
Oh, this angers me so much, man. And it shouldn't. She's saying that wasn't the context it was said in. Brian Steele says, okay, what context was it said in? I don't know. What? Maybe you can refresh my memory. That's like somebody saying, I'm gonna let him do it.
Text of it.
Okay. Did Mr. Zachary tell you that he doesn't, by August 5, 2015, he doesn't speak with Jeffrey Williams? You can't get in touch with him?
He stated that he hadn't seen him in a minute.
I know he said it. He just didn't say it then.
Up until you left the gang task force in March of 2016.
Yes, sir.
When was the last time Jeffrey Williams had any contact with Mr. Copeland, to your knowledge?
I don't know.
How about Mr. Zachary?
I don't know.
Mr. Garlington?
I don't know Mr. Jeffrey's contacts or speaking to anybody involved in this case.
Okay. There was a portion of this meeting
Thank you,
with
GA,
Mr. Zachary and you and Detective Dennis,
I don't know,
and I
but it wasn't
believe
that.
Detective Thorpe, whereby Detective Dennis says something to the effect of YSL is a gang as well as something else. Do you know what he said?
No.
I'm going to play this and tell us if you can assist us, okay? Your Honor, this is states Jeffrey Williams, it states 531Y, same interview, Jeffrey Williams 263I, as in ice cream, it's 3/18/14 to 3/18/21.
Mr. Smithies. That's messed up. Uncle Les is in the building. Good morning, Les.
So YSL is a gang, but it's also a clothing line. Yeah. Just for the record.
Do you know what he was saying, if you heard?
Yeah.
Now, can you play that again?
So YSL is a gang, but it's also a clothing line. Yeah. Just for the record.
I don't know what he said.
Now, I'd like to show you, with the state's permission and assistance, states 447Y. And tell me, this is what I asked you earlier, that you introduced.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me if this refreshes your memory. Remember this?
This a video?
Yes.
You can play it.
We could play it if you want, but do you remember
answer the
seeing this
question?
before?
I don't recall if you play it. It's just, at this point, a screenshot. If you play it, I can tell you if I remember it or not.
Okay, play the first part of it if you don't mind.
Jeez. She said you could play it. Like, who is this chick? And I don't know, man. Hey, listen, I'm all for hiring DEI hires that are qualified, but I mean, this is the best they got. Come on, man. I know there's got to be someone out there they could have picked better than this. Jeez. No offense. But that breathing is not doing her justice. I might have to
So nigga, a lot of they mamas, a lot of they kids, a lot of they brothers and sisters, they didn't get ready in the courtroom and tell the God honest truth. Don't get it. Y'all nigga need to get fucking killed, bro.
You snitching bitches.
From me and YSL.
Remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, on there, we have in the background Mr. Sledge speaking, right? You hear the voice?
I heard a voice, yes.
You don't recognize it, Mr. Sledge?
Not with 100% certainty, no.
Okay. Mr. Martinez-Arnold's voice?
Not with 100% certainty.
All right. You see where it says repost WizApp?
No,
Should be on your screen. Center
it's
bottom.
not on it. Oh, now I can see it. Yeah, now I can see it.
Okay. And do you know what that means? Did you do any investigation into what that means?
What means?
Yeah.
What?
Repost WizApp.
I believe it's some type of app
Do you know what repost means?
to repost something on the social media, meaning
Did you ever do any investigation to determine the date or dates that this was previously posted?
no.
Do you know when State's Exhibit number 447Y was actually made?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether it was made before the Donovan Thomas shooting?
I don't recall the date when it was made or posted, reposted.
Did you do anything in your memory to find out and look into when was this actually created?
I had no reason to.
How come?
It's not against the law
So,
to
no.
make a video or repost it.
With regards to your working with Detective Thorpe, Homicide Investigator Thorpe and the gang unit, including you, are both looking into the investigation into the killing, the shooting of Donovan Thomas and related matters. Fair?
To a certain extent.
And were you kept abreast at times of what Detective Thorpe was doing on the case?
Not all the time, no.
Okay. Did you, at times, keep Detective Thorpe abreast of what you were doing on the case?
If it was something that I felt was pertinent to his investigation, yes, I would tell him if we found out
Were you,
new
Go ahead.
if we found out new information that I felt would help him, yes, I would tell him.
Did you, were you aware at and around October 20th, 2015, until the day that you left the gang unit, that Detective Thorpe swore out warrants for Kenneth Copeland for the murder of Donovan Thomas?
Was I aware the date?
Relevance.
No. The day that he did it? No.
Were you aware of it at a time before you left the gang unit?
At some point, I did know.
One more
It wasn't. At some point, I did find out that he
Okay.
obtained warrants.
All right. And when you spoke with and you interviewed Kenneth Copeland several times, right?
Yes.
And also you looked into his criminal conduct, fair to say? You investigated him, right?
In regards to what?
Anything.
If it was criminal activity or
Criminal activity.
Your Honor, I object as to vagueness.
I'll be specific. You went to his house on June 10, 2015 and arrested him, along with other agents.
yes,
And those agents also were FBI, that's wrong, ATF agents, federal agents, right?
correct.
And you located, with permission, in the car outside his home and Ms. Quarterman's home, you found some electronic devices, computers, stolen identification, things like that, correct?
Objection relevance.
It's very relevant.
Is there relevance to
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll see. Overruled for now.
Yes.
And
And-
the thing that Brian's saying, he said, you did all this to get these guys, but you failed to do a proper investigation.
Objection relevance.
Is there relevance to
Yes.
that? Okay, we'll see. Overruled for now.
Yes.
And that rental car, it was a rental car that these items were found in, right?
I don't recall if it was a rental or not.
Do you remember Ms. Quarterman's mother rented the car?
I just stated I don't recall if it was a rental car or not.
Do you remember testifying in this trial previously and watching a video?
Get it, Brian.
Of what?
Maybe you didn't watch the video. Do you remember testifying previously? Or did you ever tell Kenneth Copeland, you can get Miss Quarterman's mother in trouble because she rented that car and there's stolen items in the car? Do you remember that conversation?
I don't. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but at this moment, I don't remember that it was a rental car.
All right.
Of course you
Now,
don't.
do you remember going back to the August 5, 2015 interview with Mr. Zachary,
Wow.
that he explained that there was a video posted on social media of Mr. Sledge or Muntunk and Mr. Zachary, and it was made threatening Mr. Kelvin Watts, Michelle Kell, do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you remember Mr. Zachary explaining that that was all about trivia?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember Mr. Zachary denying being slime? Remember that conversation taking place?
Yes.
And he saying that there are no rules or loyalty to slime? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And do you remember that Mr. Copeland, according to Mr. Zachary, same August 5, 2015, Mr. Copeland and Mr. Sledge or Muntunk shot Mr. Watts or Kelvin Watts on MLK? Remember him telling you that?
Yes.
And do you remember that Mr. Zachary shared with you that Mr. Copeland shot at the TGI studios?
Yes.
And do you remember that Mr. Kelvin Watts or Shellkel, Mr. Zachary explained, was shot twice, first by Mr. Sledge and then by Mr. Sledge and Mr. Copeland? Do you remember that?
That he was shot twice, meaning two separate incidents?
I'm going to do two separate incidents. Yes, he was shot. Mr. Kelvin Watts or Shellkel was shot first by Mr. Sledge and Mr. Copeland. Do you remember him saying that? Mr. Zachary saying that?
I don't remember him saying two separate incidents. I remember him saying he was shot on Martin Luther King, but not in a second incident.
Do you remember a second time Mr. Kelvin Watts was shot at by Trevante? Remember Mr. Zachary telling you that?
Okay, yeah.
I couldn't hear you.
Yes.
Now, you stated earlier that, the way I understood it, it would be bad form to allow potential witnesses to get together and speak before law enforcement officers spoke with them. Do you remember something like that?
Bad form? What do you mean bad form?
It's bad procedure. The witnesses can taint each other if they get together.
Yes, I believe that to be true.
And that's why at times when police come onto a scene, they try to separate, if they can, witnesses. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Because you want the
Oh no, come on, don't do this to me. We were doing so good.
most pure statement from each witness and not some sort of, even innocently, tampering or tainting of witnesses.
Correct, the independent recollection of the incident.
Now, in this case, do you remember on June 10, 2015, explaining to Mr. Copeland that you and your coworkers needed to corroborate, that's a bad word though, but needed to find whether there was information to support what he was saying about other people? Do you remember having those conversations with him?
Yes.
And do you remember Mr. Copeland saying Mr. Garlington would be a good source of corroboration? Do you remember something like that?
Yes.
And do you remember Detective Thorpe, your coworker, APD homicide, lead homicide detective on this matter, being present with you and Detective Dennis during this time of that interview?
Not saying he wasn't, but I don't recall.
Do you remember it being discussed where Detective Thorpe, in your presence, and Detective Dennis explained that he would allow Mr. Copeland and Mr. Garlington to speak on a non-recorded line before Mr. Garlington spoke to the police?
This is what Investigator Thorpe said? No, I don't recall that.
Okay. This is already in evidence. Copeland, do you have this? Do you have this? I need the number.
In the lead right now.
You want to have one moment? Sure. I want to continue on with June 10, 2015 interview between you and Mr. Copeland and other investigators. Do you remember from the McDonald's, Mr. Copeland's explained that he's at the McDonald's shortly after the murder. I'm not 8 o'clock, I'm not sticking to that time, but something like that, on January 10, 2015.
Yes.
And do you remember him explaining that he's in a car with Mr. Garlington and Mr. Demise McMullen, or Nard?
Yes.
And he is following Mr. Slade, no, that's wrong, Mr. O.G. Bentley or Kelvin Treadwell's car to Jeffrey Williams' Sky House condo. Do you remember that?
I don't remember him stating he was following someone.
Okay. Mr. Kokomo, can I break your thought? Mr. Kokomo, can I break your thought? Your Honor, this is already in evidence. It states 278YE as in Aaron, and this is Jeffrey Williams 240II, and this is 950
What
as
did
in
she
Aaron.
say?
Break your thought. Mr. Kokomo, can I break your thought?
Did she say that's terrible again? Is that what y'all are talking about? I'm gonna hear it one more time. I think she said that's terrible. I've got it on 1.25 speed, so let me slow it down to normal speed and see.
Mr. Kokomo, can I break your thought? Mr. Kokomo?
Yeah, I don't know. It was hard to make out, but it kind of sounds like that's terrible. It's tough to tell. She need to keep her comments to herself, focus on answering questions and not passing out on the stand.
Can I break your thought?
Lord.
Your Honor, this is already in evidence. It states 278YE as in Aaron, and this is Jeffrey Williams 240II,
y'all heard
and this is
this
95814, and this is
y'all
Jeffrey
were saying
Williams.
this
Your Honor,
dude? Hold on. Oh,
Mr.
I
Kokomo.
hear it.
Can I break your thought? Your Honor, this is already in evidence. It states 270. Mr. Kokomo?
She said, this dude, you're
Mr. Kokomo,
right.
can I break your thought? Mr. Kokomo? Can I break your thought?
It's hard to tell.
Your Honor, this is already in evidence. It states 278YE as in Aaron, and this is Jeffrey Williams 240II, and this is 9:58:14 a.m. to 9:58:46 a.m.
This dude. How do y'all think her job's
240
feeling
II.
about this? Not that it matters. I mean, I'm not trying to get anybody fired. Y'all know that HR department is watching. PR department is watching this. They're probably watching the live stream right now. Shout out to the Atlanta Hawks PR department. So this dude. Oh, Slim with the spoiler alert.
So, we don't spill it.
Jeez.
Wait, are they following y'all? Yeah, nah, they don't let follow them. Okay, so y'all follow them. Yeah, but when he told me, hell no, I ain't just follow them. But he didn't get out cover. I'm trying to keep deep, I see what the hell going on. Boom. So we followed them to the door. They stay downtown on the Sky House. That's it. I followed them down. So I followed them down. I see the door, they get out. So now he got covered.
Were you able to understand that?
Yeah, I remember this in the video.
Okay. And is it accurate to say, I'm not saying it's accurate in life, but is it accurate to say Mr. Copeland told you that he was following Mr. O.G. Bentley's car to the Sky House where Jeffrey Williams lives?
He said them. I don't remember him saying O.G. Bentley or Bentley's name.
Okay. Let's do this one then. It might put in context. Your Honor, it's the same State's Exhibit 278YE. This is Jeffrey Williams 240JJ. The times are 2:57:47 to 2:57:58 p.m.
Zero kills. Just
When
let
did
him say.
Bentley pull up? You didn't say Bentley's name. Yeah, he was driving a white truck. He the one who took them to the Sky House. I just said, okay. So they called Bentley.
Were you able to understand that?
This was two separate times of the interview.
Correct.
Oh, she remembers
You're saying that
though.
this is not from the McDonald's to the Sky House?
So I don't know where you're going with this. I'm kind of confused. You're showing two different clips with two different contexts.
Well, if you don't remember, that's fine.
I just stated I'm confused because this is two separate clips from two totally separate parts of the interview.
Sure. Sure. But does this help you, to help the jury, that Mr. Copeland told you that he followed Mr. O.G. Bentley or Kelvin Treadwell to Jeffrey's home from the McDonald's? If it doesn't help you, just say doesn't.
Sir, we all just heard him just say that, but in the context that you're putting it in, it's a little confusing because this is two separate parts of the interview.
She want to be a
Well,
lawyer.
from
so
your
bad.
knowledge of the interview and this case, is that what Mr. Copeland said?
That's what he just stated on there, yes.
Okay.
Thank you for giving
Then,
the answer to the question. Jeez, man.
I want to